मैडम क्लास स्टार्ट कर दियंतु।
Evening viewers. So today we will going to discuss about our various social identities like caste, class. Good evening viewers. So today we will going to discuss about our social identities, caste, class, tribes, gender, and so various social classes like workers, women, peasant, etc. Okay. India is a diverse country or diverse society which consists of mainly various social identities like caste, class, tribe, gender, and various social classes like workers, peasants. Okay, and they have relationship with politics. Okay, politics is a process through which multiple identities and social groups seeks to resolve their conflict and have their issue addressed. Overall, politics is about being able to participate in political activities. Okay, politics occurs within the institutions and outside them. Okay, in public spaces or even private spaces. Okay, the identity represents society and they interact with politics. Thus, there is a relationship between society and politics. Okay, so today we will going to discuss about caste system. What is caste system in Indian politics and what is the role of casteism or caste system in Indian politics? Okay, this unit is totally caste, class, gender is indicated different type of social identities. Okay, how society identify them and what are the relationship between them various social identities and political platform. Okay, identities denotes the relations among social groups. Okay, social identities are hereditary. The nature of such identities may undergo changes, but these identities remain. Caste is such an identity. Okay, some identities are not hereditary, they depend upon the economic conditions, but caste is a remember is a hereditary system. It remains static. Okay, such identities are classes. Okay, some identities are defined by certain characteristics which members of such groups have. Okay, such identities are taken known as caste, class, tribe, etc. As you will read in this unit about caste, class, tribe. Okay. So today we see that from where caste is derived. The word caste comes from casta, a Portuguese word, and it means different in birth or races. It is based on Varna system. Okay, caste denotes a position of a social group in a hierarchical relations. Okay, this position is based on the birth of a person. Okay, apart from the caste being hereditary, it is also endogamous. Okay, it means that a person can marry within his or her caste. These are the national or notional features of caste. Okay, traditionally, every caste was assigned specific occupations in society. Okay, the caste based occupation also included the social hierarchy in the society. Okay, that means caste system is depend upon the hierarchical system of a society. Okay, different castes were grouped into four varnas. Do you have any idea about varna? There are varna can be categorized into four categories. That is Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. Okay, the Sudra are confined or defined that they are the untouchables. Okay, untouchable caste. Okay, which are placed in the scheduled caste category in the government gazette are also known as Dalits. Okay, over the years, especially after independence, these ideal features of caste have undergone significant changes. Okay, however, its two features, its hereditary nature and endogamy, remain largely enduring. Okay, according to Louis Drummond, the author of Homo Hierarchius, different castes in India are placed in a gradual hierarchy. He argues that in power relationship among castes, Brahmin enjoy more decisive role than the Kshatriya. Okay, Dinamont notions of caste has been challenged by Nicholas Dix and others. The Dinamont's notions was criticized as it failed to explain the social change, dynamism, and individualistic striving even within the traditional Indian society. Okay, then Gerald Behrman pointed out that principles of Brahminical hierarchy was not uniformly followed by all Hindus. Okay, he also criticized the denomination's notion that power and economic factors are distinct and distinct categories of caste. Okay, it has been pointed out by others that caste hierarchy is not a fixed hierarchy. Rather, it is a context specific and fluid and contains seeds of contention among various castes. Okay, Nicholas Dickus cites anthropographic and textual evidence of demonstrate the Brahmins and the text were not too central to the social fabric of Indian life. Okay, according to this view, power relations and command over man and resources were more important. Okay, Brahmin were merely ritual specialists, often subordinates to powerful ruling families. Okay, according to this view, the caste-based spiritual or Brahminical model of traditional India was in invention of the British Orientalists and anthropographers. However, caste play a very critical role in the Indian social reformer and nationalist perspective of caste. Okay, it was certainly not a mere product of British imaginations. Okay, means it is a product of social system. Okay, disagreeing with Louis Dumont, sociologist Dipankar Gupta argues that though different castes are placed in the hierarchical order, they have emerged a discrete caste and distinct caste identities. Okay, so now we discuss about some definitions of caste system in Indian context. Okay, according to Majumdar and Madan, okay, caste is a close classes. That is, class refers to people based on property, business, occupation. That one cannot change caste system by the change of his class system, and can be a member of many classes at the same time. Okay, that means one cannot change his caste system, but he can change his occupation or class system. Okay, you belongs to a caste by birth and cannot change it later, and one has it is follow the sets rules and regulations and gets punished on their violations, and one can ever be thrown out of his caste. That is, if one dares to get out of his caste, he can never return. In class one may change it with efforts like a literate class, or one can become literate or therefore go over to the literate class. That is, caste is hereditary in nature, and one born in a caste cannot change. That means caste has certain rules and regulations. Okay, each and every caste they decided or they defined certain rules and regulations for their own caste. Okay, and one cannot change that rules regulations of that caste. And in class, it depend on the categories. Like class is a like we can take example that rich class, middle class, or poor class, or occupational class, or educated, that means literate or illiterate class. So this is depend on the capacity of a human beings. Okay, it depend totally upon a human tendency. Okay, if a human being have the ability, and then he can change his class system, okay, but not caste system. Okay, caste is a fixed according to casteism, according to class concept. Caste is a fixed. One cannot change the rules and regulations of a caste system, but class system is not fixed. It's a dynamic. It's depend upon the ability of an individuals. Okay, according to Herbert Kisley, class is a collections of families or groups of families bearing a common name which usually denotes or is associated with specific occupations, claiming descent from a mythical ancestor, human or divine, professing to follow the same hereditary calling and regarded by those who are competent to give an opinion as forming a single homogeneous communities. That means it's indicate that a caste bearing a common name, a common group, a common family, and one cannot change that thing. So if somebody when birth, his caste system also birth with his birth. Okay, and one cannot change his caste easily. Okay, then, according to Ketkar, in his book History of Caste in India, caste is a social group having two characteristics. Okay, members is confined to those who are born of members and includes all persons no born. And next one is the members are forbidden by an inexorable social law to marry outside the group. That means casteism does not allow to marry outside. Okay, they always prefer to marry intercaste marriage. Okay, then E. Blunt says that caste is an endogamous group bears a common name, membership of which is hereditary, imposing on its members certain restrictions in the matter of social intercourses, either following a common traditional occupations, a claiming a common origin, and or generally regarded as forming a single homogeneous community. Okay, it's indicate caste system in Indian context. Okay, then we discuss another definitions of caste system, that is when a caste class is somewhat specifically hereditary, we may call it a caste. Okay, according to Charles Cole. Okay, then now we discuss some characteristics of caste system. What are the characteristics of caste system? As I already discussed that caste is depend on birth system. Okay, it's based on birth system. Okay, or birth is the determinant factor of the caste system. Once born in a caste, he has to remain the same. Okay, that means he does not change his caste. Okay, status, position, prestige is fixed according to his caste. That is a scribe. The castes are divided into sub-castes. Okay, what are the status? What are the positions? What are the prestige? Genuinely, when we discuss about our Varna system, Brahmins are categorized the higher caste group, and then Kshatriya, then Vaishya, then Sudra. Okay, and their occupations also determined by Varna system. Okay, then its next characteristics is endogamy and exogamy. Okay, it is a caste system. There is a restrictions on marriage, Western mark. Okay, restrictions on marriage, endogamy and exogamy are the essence of the caste system. Okay, endogamy, there's one's own caste or subcaste. Exogamy, same caste but not same clan. That is clan means that is gotra. Okay, then its next characteristic is social harmony is found in caste system. Brahmin is highest and Sudra have the inferior positions and has prestige. As I already discussed that Brahmin given the highest positions in society and Sudra given the lowest strata in society. Okay, according to Varna system. Then next characteristic is occupational restrictions and hereditary occupations. Your occupations is fixed by your caste. As I already told that according to Varna system, occupations also fixed according to their caste. Okay, and example, a blacksmith's son will always be a blacksmith. Okay, a farmer's boy always be a farmer. Okay, a priest's son always be a priest. Okay, a king's son always be a king. Okay, then its next characteristics is economic disparity. Okay, the higher caste people are generally economically better off, and the lower caste people work hard, and yet they get little benefit. That means the social advantages or social benefits always go to the, or always prefer the higher caste of society, and the lower caste people, they work hard. Okay, but the advantages of society, the facilities of society enjoyed by the higher caste than the lower caste people, or then Sudra group of people. Okay, then now we see how caste system is applicable in politics. Okay, the politics of the state, politics of the state. Okay, a social welfare scheme for the welfare of marginalization group, implementations of constitutional provision prohibiting caste-based untouchability, reservations for the SC in government jobs, or ST, reservations of SC ST in government jobs, political institutions, land reform, etc., in the rigidity of caste relations. Okay, specifically, the notions of purity and pollutions do not impact the role of caste outside family as rigidity as it did earlier in the public sphere. Okay, this phenomena is called secularism of caste by political scientists, as Rajni Kothari and D.L. said. Okay, caste has played an important role in Indian democracy. Okay, following the introduction of universal adult franchise with the commencement of Indian constitutions, as every adult citizens of India got an opportunity to participate in electoral democracy. Okay, that means every community and every group of people, every caste group of people have the what have the um, uh, have they have they provided facilities to take participate in political system, or they in politics. Okay, then, according to Lloyd Rodolph and Susan Rodolph, caste associations have played crucial role in mobilizing caste for getting their democratic rights. In the book edited by Kispan Jefflot and Sanjay Kumar, Rise of the Plebeians, several scholars have argued that participations of Dalits and OBC in different states has increased, especially since the last decade of the 20th century. This is reflections of change in nature of caste in the post-independent period. Okay, apart from caste associations, several parties which address the issues of specific caste or caste group have emerged in India. Okay, and these parties aims to empower specific caste. Okay, in Uttar Pradesh, the BSP, that is Bahujan Samaj Party, attempted to empower majority sections. Okay, that means Bahujan Samaj. Okay, mostly Dalits and backward classes. Similarly, in the 1970s, political parties led by Charan Singh, the BKD, Bharatiya Kranti Dal, and BLD, Bharatiya Lok Dal, or LD Lok Dal, mobilized the backward classes farming communities in North India. Okay, in Tamil Nadu, the DMK, ADIMK mobilized the backward classes, or Dravidas. Okay, supports base of the Congress, especially till the 1980s, and that of the BJP from the 2014 consist of multiple castes. Okay, the policies of the government led by these parties devise policies to mobilize their support. Okay, this helps them to get support of various castes. Okay, this is the structures, or this is the structures of political participations of different castes in our politics. Okay, Then now we discuss about class system. Okay, what is class system? As before, before already I discussed that the caste is a fixed phenomena, but class is a dynamic phenomena. One can change his classes. For example, now in our society we have three type of categories, or three type of class categories, that is rich and middle and poor. Okay, if one have the ability, if one have the tendency, then he can suppose he can go from one class to another class easily. Okay, from poor class to middle class, or from middle class to rich class. It is depend on the tendency or abilities of individuals. Okay, then class is a different from the caste, as unlike caste is not hereditary. That means caste is a hereditary system, but class not a hereditary system. Caste is birth, when somebody birth. Okay, but class is not a hereditary system. Okay, it is also not restricted to any religion. Okay, class does not impose any type of restriction to any religion. Okay, class denotes economic positions of a group or a persons belonging to such group. Okay, caste is generally associated with the relationship of a person's to economic aspects. Okay, it shows the relationship of a groups with the economic resources, control of the resources, and their distributions among groups or individuals. Although class is an economic category, it is not devoid of its relationship with non-economic aspects such as caste, tribe, religion, etc., etc. Okay, in Marxian terms, there are basically two types of classes. That's as I already told you, that haves and have-nots. Okay, that means rich and poor categories of people. Okay, the haves own resources of means of productions, and the have-nots do not own resources but have labor power. In a capitalist society, those who owns means of productions are called bourgeoisie, and they do not work, and work in their enterprise is done by workers or the proletariats. Okay, the bourgeois make profit from the labor of the workers. Thus, in a capitalist society, there are basically two classes in bourgeoisie or capitalists, or the proletariat or the working classes. Harish Damodaran in Indian New Capitalist explained that caste background of the capitalists become since the last few decades of the 20th became wider than it was till a few years after the independence. Okay, since in India the industries from a smaller proportions of economy in comparison to agriculture, the industrialist and working class from smaller part of class. Okay, Rolf and Susan and working class from similar part classes. Okay, rural and similar in pursuit of Lakshmi underline that working class from any sections of Indian classes. Okay, class can be observed in agrarian sectors also. Okay, as I already told you that in Marxist phenomena, he decided class concept into two categories, and they are the haves and have-nots. माने मार्क्सिस्ट आर्टजिंग मତରେ से कौन करथिले क्लास माने तांको अनुसार दीटा क्लास लोक माने रहथिले गोटे होती हैव्स और गोटे होती हैव नॉट हैव्स माने जो माने धनी कैटेगरी लोक हैव नॉट्स माने जो माने होती गरीब कैटेगरी लोक हैव्स माने मींस होची बुर्जुआ कैटेगरी लोक को हम हैव्स बोली कहबा धनी कैटेगरी एवं प्रोलेटारिएट होचंती गरीब कैटेगरी लोक तो एमाने बुर्जुआजीस माने कोन करथले तांको पाखरे कैपिटल बहुत रहउतला पूंजी रहउतला से माने कोन करथले से लैंड कौन को निजे न काम करके वर्किंग क्लास रो लोक माने को सेई जमी रे से माने काम करथले ओके तो जमी नहीं have not जमी नहीं से माने दांगो जमी रे काम करके से तो अर्जन करता है क्लास टू क्लासेस दैट हैव एंड हैव नॉट तो এটা have and have not এটা according to agrarian सोसाइटी से हमें क्लास देखिए पाइबा तो क्लास सिस्टम हमें डिफरेंट ग्रुप रे हमें क्लास सिस्टम देखिए पाइबा एबे जदी हमें आजिर सोसाइटी कथा डिस्कस करबा तो आजिर सोसाइटी को तीनटा क्लास रे डिवाइड करा हिची गोटे धनी गोटे मिडिल आ गोटे पोर मिडिल क्लास टा ऐड हिची तो ए भलिया तो डिफरेंट डिस्टिंक्शन हम एजुकेशन सेक्टर देखिबा तो हमें एजुकेशन सेक्टर देखिबा तो सेठी भी दुईटा कैटेगरी रो क्लास करूछन गोटे होछन धनी गोटे सज्जन होछन लिटरेट इलिटरेट तो एमतिया क्लास टा डिफरेंट ऑक्युपेशंस डिफरेंट वेल्थ एगुडा ऊपर डिपेंड करूची ओके but compositions and formations of class in Indian agriculture have varied in different regions. Okay, in the post-independent period, the agrarian classes can be described as follows: like landlords and tenants. Okay, peasants, middle peasants, and agricultural laborers, marginal and small farmers, and food losses labor, landlords and tenants. Okay, generally has existed before the implementation land reform in different states in India. Okay, however, they have not completely disappeared in every state. Okay, in several parts of the country, new classes emerge and abolitions of there is abolitions of jamindari system and following the implementations of land reforms. Okay, these classes came to be known as rich farmers. Okay, kulaks self-cultivating middle farmers. Okay, in the areas which have witnessed green revolution, these classes got involved in cash crops. Okay, these are also seen the emergence of agricultural laborers who work on the land of the land owning classes. Beside these are there are classes who own small land holding. These landholding are not enough to meet their family needs. Apart from working in their land, they work in others' land or somewhere else. Okay, these are known as marginal or small farmer. Apart from these classes, there are some social groups who are not engaged in some fixed occupations. Okay, they don't they do whatever work is available to them. Okay, whatever work they may be given, they do that work. Okay, they do not own land or do not have any durable means of livelihood. Okay, in his books footnotes labor Jami Bhaman's terms these classes as footloss labor. Okay, class have close relationship with caste. Okay, although all classes are found in all castes, generally the low caste. Okay, Dalits and lower sections and have large share of poorer classes than the higher caste. Okay, the rich farmers or middle farmers mostly belongs to high caste and middle class such as Jats, Yadavs and Marathas, Reddys, Kamans, Bhokaligas and Lingayats. Okay, the agriculture laborers, small and marginal farmer footnotes laborers mostly belongs to Dalits and lower backward classes. Beside industries and agriculture, there are class in service sector which consist of multiple middle class. Okay, middle class generally denotes those class who are engaged in salaried occupations in public or private sectors. They also include professionals or self-employed persons such as doctors, lawyers, or journals. Okay, middle class are not homogeneous groups. Okay, depending on their economic conditions and positions in public or private jobs, middle class can be grouped as lower middle or upper middle classes. Okay, then we see origin of caste system, class system. Okay, the class is a system of stratifications of society on the basis of educations, property, business, works, etc. Okay, sociology as a subject deals with the class system and provides definitions and understanding to tell the subjects of class in society. Okay, then what are the common basis for divisions of class? property, there is a common divisions like property, educations, business and occupations. Okay, that in property, capitalists and the poorer classes like haves and haves not, and in educational field there is literate and illiterate. Okay, and the business and occupations like farmer, industrialist, officers, and etc etc. Okay. Then let's we discuss about some definitions of class system. Okay. According to P. Gisbert, says that class system is a social class, is a change, is a category. A social class is a category or group of persons having a definite status in society, which permanently determine their relations to other groups. Okay, feeling of superiority and inferiority, the relative positions of the class is the social scale arises from the degree of prestige attached to the status. Okay. The next definition is MacIver and Page. Okay. A social class is any portions of community marked of the form the rest by social status. Okay. A social class is the aggregate of persons having essentially the same social status in a given society. That is a class consciousness. Okay. Then according to Max Weber, okay, Max Weber said that the class system held that classes are aggregate of individuals who have the same opportunities of acquiring goods. Okay, the same exhibited standards of living. Okay, then Hebel defines a social class is a group within a society whose members hold number of distinctive status in common, and who through the operations of roles associated with this status develop our awareness of the life interest as against the unlike trick and interest of others groups. Okay, these are the definitions of class system. Okay, then we discuss some characteristics of caste system. Okay, its first characteristics is class system is based on occupations, wealth, educations, age, and sex. Okay. Hierarchy of then we discuss about hierarchy of status. Okay. In general, there are three class: upper class, middle class, and lower class. Okay. Status, prestige, and role is attached with them. Okay. Upper class are given more respect in comparison to other two, where their status and prestige are most. Okay, they are the pyramidal structure. That means class system is a hierarchical system. Hierarchy means a pyramidal structures. That means step by step. In the higher position, there is a higher caste. Then after that, middle class. Then after that, lower class. Okay. Then higher class given more prestige, more given more facilities, or more all the social advantages are given to the mostly Brahmin category. Then the other two classes or other two groups of society, the middle class and the lower class. Okay. Then another characteristics is feeling of superiority and inferiority. In these three classes, there are such feeling: the upper class, the people they feel superior to the other two, where the lower class feels it is inferior to the upper class. That means there is also feeling of what superiority and inferiority in class system. Okay, so the higher class feel that they are the superior than the inferior classes or lower classes. Okay, and lower caste group or lower class group, they feel inferior than the higher class group. Okay, then class consciousness, wherever a class is formed, this feeling a consciousness is a must. There should be a feeling of a group. That means there is also development of groupism. Okay, group feeling, that is also a development of group feeling. Okay, then subclasses. Okay, class is divided into different groups similar to caste system. Class system is divided. That means our caste system is divided into different subgroup. Similarly, our class system also divided into different subgroups. Okay, subclasses. Then caste system is an class system is an open system. Okay, this is all about our class system. Okay, then now we discuss about tribe. What is tribe? Okay, what is the origin of tribe, and what is the meaning of tribe? Okay, tribes refers to a group of people who share some characteristics which are different from those of caste. Okay, as you have read in section or as you already discussed that caste is a different thing, class is a different thing, and tribe is a different thing. Okay, so definitions characteristics of tribe is not birth into a specific religion. Okay, tribes belongs to different religions, animist, Christians, Buddhist, or Muslim. Some scholars regarded tribals as indigenous. In Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and sections of tribal in Assam are also known as Adivasis. Okay, tribals in India have been subjected to prolonged exploitations and deprivations. Okay, tribe as a concept was introduced by the British during the 19th century in India. Okay, that means British first time introduced the concept of tribe. Okay, then it was used to differentiate the communities which did not fit into the definitions of caste. The concept of caste was officially defined in a Government of India Act 1935. Okay, in India, tribals predominantly inhabits the states of Northeast India. Okay, Andaman, Nicobar, and some other regions in the country, such as Odisha, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Nilgiri, Central India, Gujarat, Rajasthan. According to Article 341 of the Constitution, the Presidents of India may specify tribes or tribal community groups within certain tribes in a state for the purposes of the constitutions. In view of this notification, the Parliament may include or exclude tribes from the list of scheduled tribes in a state. It is the what capacity, or it is depend on the Parliament that they include which category group of people they include into tribal group, or they exclude from tribal group. It's the power of the our Parliament, a power of our constitutions. Okay, then now we discuss the origin of caste. Okay, the English word origin of tribe. Okay, the English word tribe is derived from the Latin word tribus. Okay, which means a community of persons claiming descent from a common ancestor, kinship, definite territory, and common cultural native. Okay, this is the definitions of tribe. Okay, now we discuss about some more another definitions of tribe. According to Oxford Dictionary, a tribe is a group of people in a primitive or barbarous stage of development, acknowledging the authorities of a chief, and usually regarded themselves as having a common ancestors. Okay, then Majumdar tribes as a social group which territorial affiliations endogamous with no specializations or functions, ruled by tribal officials. Okay, hereditary or otherwise united in language or dialectic, recognize social distract with other tribes or caste. Okay, without any social obliques attaching to them as it does in the caste structure, following tribes, traditions, beliefs, and custom, illiberal of naturalizations of ideas from aligned sources, above all conscious of homogeneity of ethnic and territorial integrations. Okay, then its next definitions according to Linton. Okay, according to Linton, a tribe is a group of bonds, okay, occupying a contiguous territory or territories, and having a feeling of unity deriving from a numerous similarities in culture, frequent contacts, and a certain community interest. Okay. Then according to Radcliffe Brown, okay, according to Radcliffe Brown, define a tribe is a group united by a common name in which the members take a pride by a common language, by a common territory, and by a feeling that all who do not share their name are outsider enemies. In fact, okay. Mm, Imperial Gazetteer of India in 1909 described tribe as a collections of families or families, okay, bearing a common name, speaking a common dialectic, occupying and performing to occupy a common territory, and is not usually endogenous, so originally it might have been so. Okay, these are the some common definitions of tribe, tribe in our Indian systems. Okay. Then we see different constitutional provision to safeguard tribes. The constitutions of India have several provisions for the welfare of the scheduled tribes in India. Okay, Article 342 provides for special administrative measures for the welfare of scheduled tribes. The state shall provide special provisions for the welfare of such tribes, such as reservations in public offices and in the parliament and Vidhan Sabha. Okay. The constitutions also ensure protections of the tribal language, dialectics, and culture. In Article 29, the sixth schedule provides for establishment of autonomous district council in the hills inhabited by the tribes in northwest India. The fifth schedule area provides for the establishment of tribal advisory council in tribal dominated areas of mainland India. Okay, the advisory council consists of number of which their quarters are to be representative of the scheduled tribes in the legislative assembly of the respective state. Okay, the functions of the council is to advise the state government on matters pertaining to welfare and interest of the tribes in the states. Okay, autonomous district council of the other hand provide tribal communities space for a certain legal and administrative autonomy of a form of self-governance. Okay, thus a clear and strong legal framework exists anchored in the constitutions of India or derived from the constitutions of India, within which the national state agenda for the social, economic, and political upliftment of political welfare, political upliftment of tribal people has to be understood. Okay, the constitutions of India contains many special provision for the welfare of the prescribed many special provision for the welfare and for the all-round development of tribal communities. The constitutions of India define different articles, provide different programs and facilities to the all-round development of tribal community. Okay, then we discuss some characteristics of caste, characteristics of tribe. Tribes are generally identified by certain features. It is important to note that as tribal society are undergoing transformation, the characteristics of tribes are getting affected by the transformations. However, we can identify certain features which are associated with tribes. These are the traditionally tribes have been inhabiting hills and forests. Okay, which are generally located in areas which lack basic facilities like communication, road, education, medical facilities, school, like this. Okay. Then the agriculture in such areas mostly involve family labor. Okay. In the tribal dominated areas, whom shifting cultivations, okay, is practiced, and people are engaged in livestock fishing, hunting, forestry, etc. Okay, construction sectors, mining and quarrying. Then uses of relatively traditional means of cultivations. Okay, the tribes do not have access to develop market to sell their products. That means tribes do not easily access market to sell their products. Okay. In comparison to women in the non-tribal society, women generally enjoy more equality. Okay, tribal chiefs or community leaders play decisive role in the adjudications of affairs within the tribes. Okay, during the post-independent period, the tribal communities have witnessed changes. However, these changes have not impacted tribals all regions equally. There exist inequalities in their economic and educational standard with the same tribes and same regions. Okay, these changes have mainly occurred due to policies of the state and central government made according to the special provisions of the constitutions. The sixth schedule and fifth schedule of the constitutions protect the customs and economic interests and political rights of tribal in the hills and plain areas. Okay, policies for reservations in public employment, the elected bodies and welfare schemes have contributed to change in tribal society to a considerable extent. Okay, as a result of these changes, new classes have emerged among different tribes in India. These classes are middle classes such as teachers, engineers, doctors, businessmen, politicians, etc. Okay, some of them are contributing to disrupt the tribal economy, leading to ecological degradations and depletions of extractions of natural resources. Okay, the tribal inhabited areas have been subjected to exploitations and support deprivations. Okay.
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ କିଛି ଶୁଣି ହଉନି।
ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ ଟିକେ ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ୍ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କର।
हेलो।
हाँ मैम सुनिएला।
हेलो। अच्छा ଏବେ ଶୁଣା ଯାଉଛି?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା।
हेलो। हाँ ठीक ଅଛି।
हाँ मैम सुनिए।
Okay, different due to the different industrial process, due to the impact of globalization, tribal also faces a lot of difficulties. Okay, so for their development, for the all-round development of tribal communities, our government and constitutions of India launch various programs for the upliftment or for the welfare of the tribal communities. Okay, now we see why tribal community faces what are the different obstacles or what are the different difficulties faced by the tribal communities, and how they took step for different political movements. Okay, to get justification or to get justice, or to have maintain equality or order or decorum in the society. Okay, tribes in different regions of India have been engaged in political movements against their exploitations and for their political autonomy from time to time. During the 19th century, the tribes were involved in a series of revolts against the colonial rule and its interference in the lives, culture, and rights of tribal communities. Consequently, an administrative system for tribal areas was created, which was different from the general Indian administrations. Okay, the distinct legislative and executive measures were adopted which primarily aimed at protecting and safeguarding the interest and welfare of the tribe. Okay, from 1874 onwards, tribes or tribal areas, that is the areas that had a majority of tribal populations, were governed by the scheduled districts. As per this act, the government was required to specify what laws were to be enforced in the scheduled areas or districts. These laws were from different from the ones applied elsewhere in India. Okay, these provisions were continued in post-independent India despite their colonial roots and origins. Okay, in post-independent period, also the tribal have been involved in movements for ending backwardness in their regions and their political marginalizations. Though the movement they seek political and regional autonomy by rearranging existing relations between vertical units of governance, the local self-government institutions, state and the center. The rearrangement of these relations range from district, regions, levels, autonomy within a state to creations of new state out of an existing state, or even to getting a sovereign state. Some tribal groups have been involved a insurgency, which means they get popular support in their movement, which often becomes violent. Okay, among the examples of different types of autonomy movements in northeast India are the movements of Nagas in the Nagas inhabited areas, of Mijos in Mizoram, and of Bodo tribes in Assam. Like this, many other also different type of tribal movements took place. Okay, for the for or to stop in order to get justice, or to stop prestige to them. Our constitutions of India also from different type of plan, like first 5 year plan, second 5 year plan, third 5 year plan. Like this, they frame 12 5 year plan for the different approaches, or for the different all down development of tribal communities. Okay, how tribal people get justice, or they also have they also get prestige in society, and they live a very peaceful life. So our constitutions provide different developmental programs to them. Okay, these are all about tribes. Okay, then after tribe, then we these are all the social identities. Okay, caste, class, and tribe, these are all social identities. Then next, we discuss about gender. What is gender and what is gender issues? Okay, people in a society can be identified on the basis of language, religion, caste, sex, gender, tribe, etc. As this unit is about gender, it is essentially to know what gender is and how it is different from a concept of related concept of sex. Okay, generally, many people consider the sex and gender are the same, but these two different things are totally different from each other. Okay, sex is a biological concept, but gender is a sociological concept. Okay, there is a difference between the sex and gender. Sex denotes biological identity of a person's. Gender signifies the role of a social, economic, political, and other factors in determining the positions of sex in society. Okay, it means the levels of social status, economic conditions, and power positions of man, woman, and transgender are determined by the social, economic, political conditions in which they are placed. Okay, that means a child when born, either he or she given special prestige, special status is determined by the what? Determined by the society. Generally, we see that. male child are given more important than the female child. It is the distinctions created by the society, not distinction created by any constitutions or distinction created by from nature or origin. Okay, so gender is a sociological phenomenon. The society discuss about gender discriminations. Society given lower status to girls child. Society given higher status to boy child, but it is not. We cannot say that this is a sex. This is the difference between sex and gender. Okay, as man, woman, and transgender grow in a different circumstances, they do not enjoy similar status in society. There exists social hierarchy, economics, and political inequalities in their positions. In our society, men are placed in the higher position in relation to women, man, and transgender. This is reflections in relations to their positions in inherit property, choice of career opportunities in matters of marriage or clothing or social behavior. Men enjoy more freedom than the women and transgender. Okay, they usually positions in society, so they are different position in relation to gender. Okay, the society in which man enjoy superior power than the women are known as patriarchal society. And in the society where women theoretically enjoy power in certain aspects of society are matriarchal society. That means in society where male child given more importance, we call that, or male given more importance, we call that it is a patriarchal society. But where female given more status, more prestige, or more important, we call that society is a matriarchal society. Okay, there are also reflected in the value system in a society. Just like patriarchal values do not treat women with equity. Okay, Kate Millett in her book Sexual Politics explains how power or patriarchy shapes gender relationship. Okay, Kate Millett was influenced by feminist philosophers. Simone de Beauvoir book The Second Sex in India, with exceptions of three tribes in Meghalaya, Khasis, Garos, and Janitas, Nayars in Kerala, and some tribes in Andaman and Nicobar Island, patriarchy exists. Okay, among these tribes, maternal systems exist. However, as Sripula Nogbari, a sociologist, underlines with reference to the Khasis systems, does not treat women equally in some respects. Okay, then now we discuss some gender issues. Okay, what are the issues related to gender? Okay, since 1980s, the scope of women movement at the local level, village and towns, and at higher levels, and range of issues raised by them have widened. However, these movements have not occurred with similar effectiveness everywhere. Okay, on the basis of what you have read above, we can say that gender related issues are not the problems only of women, okay, man or transgender. They concern all. Their solutions also lies in collaborations effort of all. Okay, however, as the gender's positions is determined by the unequal locations of man, women are transgenders in social, political, and economic relations. It is women who are apparently placed in the most vulnerable positions. Several problems continue to pose a challenge to their emancipations or empowerment. Okay, many practices abetting gender-based discriminations have been legally banned and do not get approved from every sections of the society. Despite this, however, they continue to exist. Okay, they exist in families, public places, and in workplaces. Some examples of gender-based discriminations are the follow: rape, domestic violence, discriminations of the daughters, dowry, bride burning, okay, sex determination test, in the public places, cases of harassment in society, child marriage, discriminations by some traditional caste panchayats such as Kapas, and in the work of and in the work. Okay, besides, women are discriminated in getting wages for the work which is equal to the man work. Okay, in our constitutions of India, there mentions that uh, each and every were given equal emphasis in the eyes of law, and they were given equal prestige, equal opportunities in the eyes of law. But in spite in our society, there we found gender discriminations. Okay, male are given more preference or more importance than the female. Okay, then genders and what are the gender development, how genders is developed in our society, how gender concept is developed in our society. Okay, gender based inequality is largely rooted in social and economic disparities, lack of representations of women and transgender in decision making institutions. Okay, in decision making institutions, there also we found that there is a gender discriminations. Okay, let's given an example that in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha, there we found maximum male member than the female member. There is also one kind of gender discriminations. Okay, generally in politics, women candidate or women peoples, they do not take any interest in politics. Okay, than the male. Okay, so it can be argued that if women become economically independent, get educated, and get political representation, their equality can be achieved. Although economic independence help in reductions of gender-based discriminations, it is not a sufficient condition. Such conditions can be supplemented by change in the patriarchal values. It means the man, woman, and transgender are entitled for equal treatment as human beings. Okay, gender-based discrimination is thus embedded in the level of human development. Human development means development of human beings in terms of economic independence or having viable means of livelihood, getting proper educations and keeping good health and getting respect as a human beings. Even as job, educations and health are important factors to remove gender-based inequality, they are inadequate without being accompanied by provisions for self-respect and dignity. Okay, that is possibility by change in patriarchal values that supports gender-based discriminations. Okay, Amartya Sen in development as freedom. Amartya Sen was a Nobel winner. Okay, Nobel Prize winner in development as freedom. In his book Development as Freedom, argues that development in terms of developing capabilities in human beings, health and education, resulting in providing freedom to human beings. Okay, not gender discriminations. Okay, in our society, if we provided better facilities to girls child and educated them, and economically they made self independent. Okay, if we increase the participations, political participations of women category in society, then the gender discrimination can be abolished and equality can be established within the society. Okay, this is the gender bias or gender based violence or gender discriminations. Okay, then now we discuss some related to some gender movement. Okay, what are the gender movements arise in all over the world or in India? Okay, the trajectory of women movement in India can be traced to pre-independence period. These movements address almost all kinds of issue concerning women. Okay, some of women focus on contemporary women's movement in India. Some social reforms play a leading role in combating some practices which undermine women's right and dignity. Contemporary movements in India to end gender-based discriminations can be traced to the pre-independent period. Okay, in the early decades of the 19th century, Ram Mohan Roy and Vidya Lankar fought against the practice of sati. In 1817, Pandit Vidya Lankar declared that sati had no Sasti sanction. Similarly, in the 1850, Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar argued that the Shastras were not opposed to the remarriage of a widow. 1 year later, Governor William Bentinck prohibited sati in his province in Bengal. Okay, it took 11 years for this provision to get extended to other parts of India at the sati provision of Act 1929. Okay, you already know what is the sati provisions. Okay, against the provisions, a widow remarriage association was established in Madras in 1871. In 1878, this year in 1878, Hirasalingam started the Rajumdari social reform associations focusing mainly on widow remarriage. Okay, Jyotirao Phule founded Satya Sodhak Samaj to end social evils associated with caste, which negatively affected women also. Swami Dayanand started Arya Samaj movement to initiate reforms within Hindu. He interpreted to Shastra to argue that man and woman were equals. He opposed polygamy and child marriage. Okay, he supported compulsory education for both boys and girls, both, and suggested that equal stress on traditions and modernity through the compulsory learning of Sanskrit and English. He raised the age of marriage of girls and boys to 16 and 25. Okay, when that means girls marriage age is 16 years and boys marriage age is 25 years according to him. Okay, due to the influence of the social reforms, the British government made laws which banned custom and sati and child marriage, permitted women to remarry, etc. Okay, these are the such certain laws framed by our British government. Okay, women for women is legislative bodies. Okay, all India Women's Conference was set up in the year 1920 to spread educations among women. Okay, so let's we discuss some about post-independent period. Okay, gender-based discriminations and inequality become a focus of studies in social sciences during the 1975 to 85, which was known as the International Women Decade. Gender studies became priority agenda of search of the Indian Council of Social Sciences Research and the University Grant Commissions. In several university centers for women studies were established. Some scholars argue that the women movement in India is influenced by women's movement in West. Okay, but some scholars disagree with the view and argue that feminist movement is rooted in cultural and national history of India. Okay, patriarchal values impact the attitudes of the state, institutions, and society towards gender-based inequality and discriminations. A large number of persons in society are not averse to the gender-based discrimination. They support practices and customs which endorse gender-based discriminations, which include sati, ban of entry of women in certain religious institutions, etc. These values are shared by some persons who run public institutions. These institutions symbolize the states. Okay, thus we can see sections of society and the states share common patriarchal values. However, along with the presence of patriarchal elements in the society and the state, there are several organizations, activities, scholars, intellectuals, and leaders who attempt to end gender-based discriminations and inequality. Okay, they strive to end male dominance and seek equality for all gender, man, woman, and transgenders. Indeed, oppositions to gender-based discriminations and search for gender equality has assumed the form of women's and LGBTQ movement. Okay, this movement address gender-based issues, have leadership, organizations, and patterns of mobilizations. Okay. So now we discuss about some transgender persons. Okay, gender-based movements are part of a new social movement. The new social movements refer to the social movement or collective actions which are different from the movements which occurred prior to 1980s in the following ways. They are movement of those social groups or social classes which are not visible involved in collective mobilizations. They address new kinds of issues and they claim to be politically apolitical, or they are not affiliated to any political party. Among such groups are included transgender groups. Okay, they are also known as LGBTQ. Okay, that's full form is lesbian, gays, bisexual, transgender, and queers. Okay, according to the Transgender Persons Bill 2016, a transgender person is one who is neither wholly female or male, combinations of female and male, neither female nor male. Such a person's gender does not match the gender assigned at birth and includes trans man and trans woman persons which intersex variations and gender queers. Okay, the transgenders face discriminations due to the status of their gender. They face social stigma, okay, discriminations in getting employment in public and private institutions and within their families. Okay, these groups in India have been mobilizing themselves to influence the lawmakers to make law to end their multiple discriminations and provide them dignity and self-respect. Okay, right to self-discrimination is among their main demands. Okay, so these are all about gender and gender discriminations and gender exploitations or feminism. Okay, so our social identities part is closed. Now we'll discuss about different social classes. Okay, like as I already told that peasants and workers. Okay, so first we discuss some workers. Okay, workers or workers movements. Okay, workers are the peasant together from the largest group of the Indian society. Okay, while the workers largely belong to the exploited sections, the peasants consist of both the poor and the rich sections. These groups have been involved in the collective actions or the social and political movement to get their demand fulfilled. The nature of the issue raised by them or their leadership depends on the place they occupy in the economy or society. Okay, it also depends on the fact whether the workers are engaged in the organized, unorganized, agrarian, or the industrial sector, or where a peasant is a poor peasant or the rich peasant operating in the mechanism capitalistic economy or in the backward feudal economy. In this unit, we shall discuss some important features of workers and peasants movement in India. Okay, so what are the worker movements? Worker movements in colonial period. In colonial period, the modern working class made its appearance in India in the second half of the 19th century. Okay, with the growth of modern industries, railways, post, telegraph network, plantations, and mining. But the labor movement started in an organized way only after the Second World War. The organized worker unions are known as the trade union. All Trade Union Congress AITUC thought was formed in 1920. Its objective was to coordinate activities of all organizations in all the provinces of India to further the interest of the Indian labor in economy, social and political matters. In the second half of the 1920s, there was a consolidation of left ideological forces in the country. In 1920, the left wing includes the communities succeeded in acquiring dominant positions inside the AITUC. Okay, the moderates started a new organizations known as the All India Trade Union Federations. Okay, the 1930 was not a favorable period for the growth and trade union movement of India. The communists were implicated the Meerut conspiracy case, and the Bombay textile strike of 1929 had failed a full mark the activities on the trade union front. The serious economic depressions of this period added of the to the woes of the workers. Further, it led to a um, mm, large scale development. Okay, the main focus of the trade union movement during this period was maintaining wages and preventive detentions. Okay, the Second World War divided the trade union leaders. Okay, the communists argue that with the Nazis' attack on the Soviet Union in 1941, the character of the war had changed from imperialistic war to people's war. The communists were following the line of Russian Communist Party and thought that in the changed circumstances, it was the duty of the workers to support British war efforts. Okay, but the nationalist leaders wanted to strengthen the national movement to overthrow the British rule from India. The ideological rift led to another spill in the trade union movement. The mounting cost of living made the workers to realize the need of an organized effort to secure relief. In spite of the government resorting to defense of Indian rules, which prohibited strikes and lockouts, there was a perceptible increase in number of both unions and organized workers. Okay. Mm, the next issue is types of collective actions. The main issue which caused the workers' strike included wage, bonus, personal leave, okay, and hours of work, violence and indiscipline, industries and labor policies, etc. Okay, the workers take recourse to various types of collective actions for getting their problems redressed. These are strikes, satyagraha, hunger strike, um, band or hartal or demonstrations, must casual leave, work to rule, cutting to supply of electricity, etc. The most common form of workers collective actions is the strike. Okay, these are the example of the railway or some example of the railway jute plantations, mine and textile workers strikes in the in the pre-independent period. Okay, the centers of strikes was Nagpur, Ahmedabad, Mumbai or Bombay, or Madras, Howrah, and Calcutta. In 1920, Gandhi intervened in the strike of the textile work of Ahmedabad and provided leadership to the workers. Okay, then some workers movement in post colonial period. Okay, the national level, what are the national level worker movement? The high hopes of workers were centered after independence. There was hardly any improvement on the fronts of better wages and other services conditions. Three central trade three central trade union organizations were born. The Indian National Trade Union Congress, started by the Congress Party, was born in 1947. The Praja Socialist Party started in the Hind Mazdoor Sabha in 1948. The workers had to struggle hard even to retain what they had achieved earlier. A series of strikes strike the country. There were highest number of strikes in 1947, that is 1811 strikes, which involved 1840,000 workers. Okay, the number of strikes and man days lost had suppressed all the previous records. These declined in 1950, but number of strikes lockouts increased again in 1960 to 1970. Some radicalists has formed the United Trade Union Congress in 1949. After 1964, when there are divisions in the Communist Party of India and Communist Party of India was born. This leads to a split of communist control AITUC as well, and in 1970 Central for Indian Trade Union, just CITU, okay, C2 was born. They are affiliated to the CPI and CPIM, okay. So these are the nationalistic level of worker movement, okay. And when the worker movements rise and when the worker movements fall, these are the systematic data about that, okay. Then provincial level, okay. Mm, Another remarkable developments of the 1960s was the birth of trade unions of the regional parties like the DMK and AIDMK in Madras. Okay, the Shiv Sena was born in Bombay in 1967. It soon set up its labor wing called Bharatiya Kamagar Sena. It was generally believed that the Shiv Sena had the backing of the industrial houses in the Bombay, okay, Pune belt to counter the strong influence of the communist and socialist in labor union. It succeeded in achieving these objectives, and its trade union establishes its supremacy in the Bombay region by the mid 1970s. The predominance of the Sena lead union was successfully challenged by Dr. Samanta, an eminent INTUC leader. Okay, when emergency was imposed in 1975, he refused to tone down his militancy. Okay, he was arrested and sent to jail. Then he was a Congress MLA. Okay, after coming out of jail when the emergency was lifted in 1977, he became 1977, he became even more popular. By the end of the 1970s, he became the most powerful trade union leader in the Bombay Pune belt. Okay, in the year 1978, he left both Congress and the INTUC to set up an independent union named the Maharashtra Girmi Kamkar Union. He remained one of the most influential trade union leader in Bombay till he was murdered. Okay, these are the provincial levels of different type of worker movement. Okay, then some worker movements are also held without any political affiliations, without any perfect leadership, or without any political affiliations. Many other worker movements also held in India, okay, from prior to independence or pre-independence period. Okay, then let's we some discuss about some limitations of trade union movement in India. The trade union movement in India is faced with many limitations. Only a small fractions of the working class is organized. Even in the organized sector, a sizable chunk of workers do not participate in trade union movement. Indian economy is largely agricultural based. Small peasants and agricultural labor encounter the problems of seasonal unemployment and low income. They are forced to go to the cities in search of employment. Most of these workers are illiterate and ignored. Okay, and under the grip of superstitions, and they have a migratory characteristics. Okay, and the main reason for this has been lack of education among the workers. Okay, mostly leadership is provided by professional politicians. It is being increasingly left that the workers are movement should be led by persons from the ranks of the workers who are aware of the problems and difficulties encountered by the working class of group. Okay, then these are all about worker movement. Then what are the peasant movements? Okay, peasants are those agrarian classes which are related to agricultural as the tenants or owners of land, and participate in the farming activities. Okay, farming or agricultural activities. They are a differentiated group in a backward and feudal agricultural. They cultivate land as the tenants of the landlords. Okay, in the more advanced agricultural, where the tenants have become the landowners following the implementations of the land reform, they are the owners of the land. The peasants whose resources in the land are not enough to meet their basic needs and who also work as laborers for others, apart from working on their fields, are poor and small peasants. The peasants do not work for wages but have enough resources relating to agricultural and rich and middle peasants, or the farmers. They entirely mainly depend on the family labor to work on the land, or they may combine it with the hired labor from outside the family. In this section, we will study about the different movements, different worker movements, different peasant movements, the small and poor peasants, as well as those of the rich peasants of the farmers. Okay, then we study about the different small and poor peasant situations, poor peasant movement situations. Okay, there were several peasant movements both in the pre-independent and post-independent period. Some examples of the former are both movement UP in the 1920, Kheda and Bardoli, Gujarat, and Champaran, Bihar movement, and Mufla rebellion. The main example of the post-independent period are Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and Tibet and Naxalite West Bengal movement. Okay, the peasant movements, the peasants during the pre-independent period were living in the miserable social and economic conditions. They were exploited by a group of class, example landlords and their agents, moneylenders and the officials, moneylender and the officials of the colonial states. Okay, the landlords increased the rent on the peasants continuously to force keep the extracted beggar from them. The inability of the peasant to pay these multiple due to the frequent famines and drought which affected them adversely. They were heavily indebted to the moneylenders in order to pay in rent and meet the needs of their substances. When the peasants could not pay the rent, services, or the beggar, they were evicted from their land. They were also physically mm, tortured commercially of crops and introduce of new land rules further worsen their conditions. Okay, the peasants reacted by revolting against the landlords, moneylenders, and agents of the colonial states. Okay, leadership in the peasants movements was provided either by the rural elites or urban intelligences. Baba Ramchand, the leader of the both peasants movements, belongs to the former. Okay, the peasants had been mobilized by some organizations. In case there was no organizations, some kind of informal networking of the peasants and their leaders had workers as organizations. This was true especially for the localized revolts. The informal networking or the organizational structures works in the mobilizations, communications of the message, and in planning strategies and programs. Okay, from the beginning of the 20th century, different political parties mobilized the peasants in the revolt. The Congress started mobilizing the peasants from the 1920s with the purposes to broaden its support base. The enable peasants movements, which were localized and running parallel to the national movement, to merge with the latter. The Bardoli Satyagraha of 1928 no rent campaign were examples of such merger. Okay, but the Congress did not encourage the conflict between the landlords and the peasants to get sharpened. Okay, the Congress had been more interested in foregoing an alliance between the landlords, peasants, and other classes. After the civil disorder movement, radical nationalists and many leaders of peasants movement started sharing the impressions that the Congress was sympathetic towards the capitalist and Jamindars, that the need to evolve independent classes, organizations, and leadership to safeguard the interest of the peasants was being felt by them. Okay, this was under these circumstances that the first All India Peasants Organizations, the All India Kisan Sabha, was formed in 1936 in Lucknow under the presidency of Swami Sadanand Saraswati, the founder of Bihar Prasad Kisan Sabha. N.G. Ranga, the pioneer of Kisan movement in Andhra, became its first general secretary. The birth of an all India organizations with a program of common demand, okay, and expression the aspirations of the peasants all over the country was an event of great historical significance. Very soon, the branches of All India Kisan Sabha was established in many districts. Okay, the Tehbaga movement of Bengal was one of the such movement. The provincial Kisan Sabha of Bengal launched this movement in 1946. Gradually, the influence of the left in general and the communist in particular increased in the Kisan Sabha. In 1947, the leadership of the All India Kisan Sabha Kisan Sabha went into the hands of the communists. The communists did the provincial Kisan Sabha of Bengal also. This movement soon took the form of a clash between the Bagardas, okay, and the Jotidas, the employers. The corporates began to assert that they would not longer pay a half share of their crop to their Jotidars, but only one third. They also insisted that before division, the crop would be stored in their khamars, okay, that means go downs, and not in that of the jotidars. Four peasants, middle peasants, and also some sons of jotidars led the movement. The middle peasants provided the bulk of the leaders, and they supported the movement up to the end. Okay, they hoped that it would culminate in total attack of landlordism when the government restored to serve peasants in 1947. The movements came to an end. Okay, then another such movement was the Telangana movement. Okay, it was launched in 1947 in the princely states of Hyderabad, ruled by Nazism. Okay, these movements developed in the context of post-war economic crisis. This movement started as a protest against collections of excessive revenue using force by Jagidars. In the beginning, the leadership was in the hands of the rich peasants, and the movement was directed against the big absentee landlords allied to the Nizamchi. Okay, but very soon the initiative passed into the hands of poor peasant and agricultural labor that started occupying lands of landlords and wastelands, and they started distributing it among them. By 1947, this movement organized a guerrilla army mobilizations for peasantry and agricultural liberal quantity of arms from the jamindars and the local government officials. They established their control over an area of 15,000 square miles with a population of 40,000. The administrations in these areas were run by peasant Soviets. Okay, the army of independent India succeeded in crushing the Telangana movement in 1951. Okay, then these all these are the about poor farmers or small farmers. Okay, now we discuss some peasant movements about rich peasants. Okay, the last quarters of the 20th century has seen the movements of a very important social group in the rural areas known as rich peasants, farmers, kulaks, or the capitalist farmers in several regions of India. they relied behind the farmers organizations in their respective regions. Okay, these organizations are two Bharatiya Kisan Unions of Punjab and Uttar Pradesh, Shetakari Sangathan of Maharashtra, Khadyu Samaj of Gujarat, Karnataka Rajya Rashtra Sangathan of Karnataka, and of Tamil Nadu. The most prominent leader of these unions were Bhupender Singh Man in Punjab, Mahendra Singh Tikati in UP, and Syed of Joshi in Maharashtra, and Nijampa Swami Karnataka. These farmers are the most influential and resourceful sections of rural society. Okay, in the respective regions, in their respective regions. Okay, they largely belongs to the intermediate caste. Okay, they have benefited most from the state policies, especially in land reform and the green revolutions. They cultivated land with the family labor, supported by the hired labor. They control the maximum resources in the rural society: land, water, resources, animals, modern technology like tractor, etc. Okay, the movement of rich farmers, unlike the movements of poor farmer peasants, are not directed against any rural exploitations. Okay, that means poor farmers are when they started different movement because of to get order or to get equality or to stop exploitations. Okay, but these situations are not in case of rich farmers. Okay, their main demands have been remunerations price. Okay, subsidies in foods. Okay, writing of loans and lowering of electricity bills, substantial reductions in water canal charges, representations of the farmers in the agricultural price commissions. Okay, with the exceptions of Maharashtra, this movement did not raise the problem of the small production producers. So rather, Tikait has demanded scrapping of land selling laws and of the Mining Wages Act. Okay, they are demanded different remuneration price or increase of remunerations or subsidies. Okay, these are the for this reason they raise different type of movement. Okay, the Bharatiya Kisan Union of Mahendra Singh Tikati speaks a language that invokes elements of Charan Singh discourses on agricultural. Okay, Charan Singh used it to argue that there was an urban basis in Indian planning and held it accountable for divisions of resources from agriculture. It, however, does not go to the extent of treating industrial and urban Indian against the rural India, unlike the unlike the Setakari Sangathan of Sarad Joshi, the rich peasants organized do not admit any contradictions between the interest of rich peasants and the poor agrarian classes. Okay, they argue that unremuneration prices affect both the rich and poor peasants. Okay, while the Sekhari Sangathan maintains a packet of Indian and Bharat divide to hide the class divide the agricultural, the BKU conceals in under the cover of existing Bhaichara and peasant proportionship in the western UP. Okay, the rich farmers are diversifying their sources of income. Some of their incomes come from outside the agrarian sector, like employment of cities, rent, trade, money lending, or transportations. Okay, they also invest in small industries like sugar and rice mills, as well as food processing. Okay, then we discuss about the impact of liberalizations on the workers and peasants movement. What are the impacts of liberalizations policies upon the workers and peasants movements? Liberalization policies when come in the year 1991, the liberalization policy or LPG model came when Manmohan Singh was our finance ministers. Okay, in that time liberalization policies was come. And what are the great impact of liberalizations on workers and peasants? Okay, the economic reforms in the country that came to be known as the liberalizations came to can be said to be mainly the 1990s development. The era of reform started with the government of P.V. Narasimha Rao. Okay, since then successive government have continued with liberation agenda. The government of Atal Bihari Vajpayee also committed to this agenda. Okay, among the main planks of this new economic policies were closer to sick and loss-making public enterprises in these investments from and privatizations of the public sector enterprises. There had been a marked decline in the growth rate of the total employment in the organization sector in the 1990s compared to 1980s. Okay, in fact, this period is known as the period of jobless growth. Okay, labors was relating to job security were changed. Many workers had been pushed out of jobs under their voluntary retirement schemes. Okay, a practice of using contract and casual labor in place of regular employees become widespread. Okay, there were strikes by trade union to protect the interest of workers in state electricity boards, ITDA, hostels, banks, etc. Okay, a national renewal fund was created as early as in 1992. Okay, to provide to a social safety net to the labor force rendered jobless. Okay, when our liberalization policies come, some workers and some peasants also get benefit from it, but maximum workers and maximum peasants they lost more than their gain. Okay, so these are all about our caste system, class system, tribe, and gender, or worker and peasants. Okay, so now we discuss some probable questions. Okay, you maybe note down that probable questions. Okay, your first question is define social stratification. Define social stratifications. How can you stratify? How can you stratify society on the basis of birth? How can you stratify society on the basis of birth? Then next, what is caste system? Describe the characteristics of the caste system. What is caste system? Describe the characteristics of the caste system. What are the factors that had to change in the rigid characteristics of the caste system? What are the factors that had to change in the rigid characteristics of the caste system? The next questions define caste system. In caste character into class comment. In caste character into class comment. Then define class system. Discuss its characteristics. Define caste system. Discuss its characteristics. Then distinguish between caste and class. Distinguish between caste and class. Then caste and class, they are the two. Caste and class, they are the two phenomena of social stratification. Caste and class, they are the two phenomena of social stratification. How? Next, caste is a closed class. Caste is a closed class. Discuss. The next question, define tribe. Discuss its characteristics. Define tribe. Discuss its characteristics. Next, what is tribe? How it is different from caste. What is tribe? How it is different from caste. The next, what are the characteristics of tribal society? What are the characteristics of tribal society? Next, what are the constitution safeguards for ST population? What are the constitution safeguards for ST population? Then, what is difference between sex and gender? What is difference between sex and gender? What are the main issues? What are the main issues of gender discrimination? What are the main issues of gender discrimination? What is women movement? What is women movement? Then what has been the impact of gender based movement? What has been the impact of gender based movement? What has been the impact of gender based movement? The next, identify the main issues of the identifies the main issues of the workers movement in India. Identify the main issues of the workers movement in India. Next, what is peasant movement? What is peasant movement? Next is, what is Telangana movement? What is Telangana movement? Next, what is Naxalite movement? What is Naxalite movement? So these are the some probable questions. Okay. Despite this, if you have any doubts, ଯଦି କାହାର କିଛି ବୁଝିବାରେ problem ହେଇଛି ବା କିଛି ପଚାରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି ତ ପଚାରି ପାରନ୍ତି। ଯଦି କାହାର କିଛି ବି doubts ଅଛି ପଚାରିବାକୁ ଚାହିଁଲେ ପଚାରି ପାରନ୍ତି। ठीक अछि आज क्लास पे एतिकी पुणी नेक्स्ट काली देखावा थैंक यू
थैंक यू मैम।